Why all Formula One champions are just Marvel villains in racing suits. Formula One isn't just about speed, skill, and engineering. It's about drama, intrigue, and the kind of cutthroat ruthlessness that could make Game of Thrones look like a kindergarten play. Let's be honest, F1 isn't a sport. It's a global soap opera on wheels, complete with multi-million-dollar egos, petty rivalries, and enough plot twists to keep Netflix executives jealous. And at the centre of it all are the world champions, the so-called heroes. But are they really? Or are they just expertly disguised villains, plotting their way to glory one scandal at a time? Look past the polished smiles, heartfelt podium speeches, and thank you team radio messages, and you'll find a darker truth. To be a Formula One champion, you can't just drive fast. You have to embody the very essence of a Marvel supervillain. Forget sportsmanship and camaraderie. It's Machiavelli in a race suit. Behind every trophy is a ruthless overtake, a controversial maneuver, and a press conference drenched in passive-aggressive undertones. Like Marvel's most infamous baddies, F1 champions thrive in chaos. They bend the rules until they snap, play mind games that would make Loki blush, and turn rivals into stepping stones on their path to world domination. When they're not leaving tyre marks on the track, they're leaving emotional scars on their competitors. And let's face it, we love them for it. Formula One champions don't win because they're the nicest, most cooperative drivers. They win because they're cunning, relentless, and just a little bit villainous. They're the Thanos of the grid, the Doctor Doom of the paddock, the Loki of the chicane. They don't apologise for their ambition. They weaponise it. And honestly, isn't that exactly what we tune in for? So buckle up, because we're about to roast the best in the business by comparing them to Marvel's most iconic villains. If you thought the battles between superheroes and supervillains were intense, wait until you hear how Max Verstappen, Lewis Hamilton, and Michael Schumacher stack up against Loki, Magneto, and Thanos. Spoiler alert, you might start rooting for the bad guys.
Max Verstappen, Loki, the Chaos King of Formula One.
Max Verstappen's reign at the top of Formula One is nothing short of chaos personified, making him the perfect embodiment of Loki, the god of mischief. From his teenage debut to his current dominance, Verstappen has always raced. Like the rules are a loose set of guidelines, easily bent to suit his needs. His aggressive overtakes and move or we crash mindset are the stuff of legend. Much like Loki in the Marvel Universe, Verstappen thrives on unpredictability and leaves his rivals scrambling to keep up with his audacious moves. But Max isn't just about brute force on the track, he's a master of psychological warfare. His infamous radio messages are half complaint, half theatre, and always dripping with sarcasm. "My tyres are dead," he'll say, moments before setting a fastest lap and humiliating the competition. It's a classic Loki move. Play the underdog, lull everyone into a false sense of security, and then strike with devastating precision. Verstappen knows how to sell the drama, making sure he's always the centre of attention, whether people love him or loathe him. And let's not forget his uncanny ability to create tension both on and off the track. Like Loki, Max doesn't just fight his battles, he turns them into spectacles. The controversial collisions with Lewis Hamilton, the accusations of overly aggressive driving, and the constant pushing of the rule book boundaries all add to his legend. Love him or hate him, Verstappen ensures his rivals aren't just racing his car. They're battling his aura, his confidence, and his chaos-infused strategy. Every race feels like a chess match with Max, except he's flipping the board when it suits him. What truly makes Verstappen the Loki of Formula One, however, is his unapologetic embrace of being the villain. He doesn't seek universal approval. He's content to let the booze fuel him. Just like Loki, he knows that being adored isn't the same as being feared, and in Formula One, fear is a far more effective weapon. Verstappen isn't here to be anyone's hero. He's here to win, break records, and leave a trail of controversy in his wake. Whether you cheer or jeer, he's already ahead, laughing all the way to the podium. Lewis Hamilton, Magneto, the polished perfectionist. Lewis Hamilton is the polished perfectionist of Formula One, but beneath the charm and calm exterior lies the same ruthless energy that defines Magneto. With 7 world championships to his name, Hamilton isn't just chasing greatness, he's redefining it. Like Magneto's belief in mutant superiority, Hamilton operates with an unshakable conviction in his own excellence. He doesn't just want to win, he expects to win. And he's built a legacy by bending every situation to his will. Whether it's mastering tyre degradation or pulling off an impossible qualifying lap, Lewis is always 2 steps ahead. And like Magneto, Hamilton is a master manipulator. Not in a deceitful way, but in how he controls the narrative. Think about the 2021 Abu Dhabi finale. Stripped of a record-breaking 8th championship in a highly controversial decision, Hamilton's reaction wasn't rage, it was ice-cold composure. He faced the cameras with a Magneto-esque air of inevitability, as if to say, "This isn't over." He let the controversy simmer, knowing that in Formula One, perception is everything. Lewis knows how to wield his influence, whether it's through his team, his fans, or the media. Hamilton's dominance isn't just about raw talent, it's about building an empire. Like Magneto rallying the Brotherhood of Mutants, Hamilton surrounds himself with loyal allies who help him execute his vision. His partnership with Toto Wolff and Bono isn't just a working relationship, it's an extension of his power. Together, they've created a dynasty so efficient and effective that rivals often seem defeated before the lights even go out. It's not just racing, it's strategy, execution, and a touch of villainy wrapped in style. And let's talk about style. Because, like Magneto, Hamilton knows how to command attention. Whether he's walking into the paddock in an avant-garde outfit or delivering a post-race speech that feels more presidential than sporty, Hamilton exudes authority. He's not just a driver, he's a brand, an icon, and a reminder that greatness doesn't come without a bit of flair. Magneto believed in the superiority of mutants, and Hamilton believes in the power of pushing boundaries, not just on the track, but in every aspect of life. Love him or hate him, Hamilton's legacy is proof that sometimes being the polished villain is the ultimate power move. Michael Schumacher, Thanos, the inevitable. Michael Schumacher is Formula One's Thanos, an unstoppable force of nature who didn't just aim to win, he aimed to dominate. Every time Schumacher stepped into the cockpit, it was as if he whispered, "I am inevitable," and then proceeded to prove it. His reign wasn't just about speed, it was about overwhelming his rivals with sheer excellence. From Adelaide 94 to Jerez 97, his ruthlessness was legendary. Those controversial collisions, straight from Thanos' book of Whatever It Takes. He wasn't interested in playing fair, he was interested in winning. And he did so with the cold precision of a mad titan wielding the Infinity Gauntlet. Schumacher's Ferrari years were his true gauntlet moment. With the team perfectly engineered around him, he held all the power. An unmatched car, a near flawless pit crew, and the mental toughness to crush any opposition. His ability to command the grid was almost supernatural. Like Thanos collecting Infinity Stones, Schumacher collected pole positions, fastest laps, and world titles with an inevitability that left rivals gasping for air. And just like Thanos, he didn't care if he was loved or hated. His job was to get results, not win popularity contests. The psychological toll Schumacher inflicted on his competitors was as devastating as his on-track performance. He didn't just race to beat you, he raced to destroy your confidence. Before the lights even went out, his rivals knew they were fighting for second place. That mental edge, combined with his relentless pursuit of perfection, made Schumacher feel less like a driver and more like a force of nature. His dominance wasn't just intimidating, it was soul-crushing. But like Thanos, Schumacher's reign came at a cost. His win-at-all-costs mentality made him as polarizing as he was brilliant. Some hailed him as the greatest driver of all time, while others saw him as the embodiment of cold, calculated villainy. Either way, his legacy is unshakable. Love him or hate him, Michael Schumacher didn't just leave a mark on Formula One, he reshaped it. Like Thanos snapping his fingers, his impact was immediate, total, and irreversible. For better or worse, Schumacher was inevitable.
Ayrton Senna, Dr. Doom, the intense genius.
Ayrton Senna was Formula One's embodiment of Dr. Doom, an intense genius whose brilliance was matched only by his unrelenting drive to dominate. On the track, Senna wasn't just racing, he was waging psychological warfare, leaving his rivals rattled and his fans in awe. Like Doom, Senna was a complex figure, revered for his sheer talent, yet feared for his fiery temperament. His duels with Alain Prost were more than sporting contests. They were battles of intellect, willpower and raw emotion, each one dripping with drama worthy of a Marvel showdown.
Senna's infamous move at Suzuka in 1990 was pure Doom energy. Knowing he couldn't afford to lose, Senna turned his car into a weapon, taking Prost out at the first corner in a blaze of controversy. It wasn't just a collision, it was a statement. Much like Dr. Doom, who sees every battle as an opportunity to assert his superiority, Senna refused to accept anything less than total dominance. To him, racing wasn't just about winning, it was about proving he was untouchable, even if it meant bending the moral compass. And yet, like Doom, Senna's brilliance often overshadowed his darker side. His unmatched skill in wet conditions, his ability to pull off miraculous qualifying laps, and his spiritual connection to the car turned him into a near mythical figure. Even when his actions veered into villain territory, his fans worshipped him as a hero. Senna's charisma was so powerful that it blurred the lines between right and wrong, making him one of the most captivating figures in F1 history. Just as Doom's intellect and ambition make him a compelling anti-hero, Senna's genius and intensity made him unforgettable. What truly cements Senna as F1's Dr. Doom is his unwavering belief in his own moral code. Senna wasn't just racing for himself, he believed he was racing for a higher purpose, for the art and purity of the sport. Like Doom's warped sense of righteousness, Senna's vision of greatness often came at a cost, whether it was strained relationships, fractured rivalries, or moments of dangerous aggression. But, in the end, that intensity is what made him a legend. Senna wasn't afraid to walk the fine line between hero and villain, and in doing so, he left a legacy that still defines the soul of Formula One. Sebastian Vettel, Green Goblin, the fallen star.
Sebastian Vettel's Red Bull dominance was straight out of the Green Goblin playbook, ruthless, calculated, and almost annoyingly efficient. From 2010 to 2013, Vettel wasn't just winning, he was obliterating the competition, much like Norman Osborn's initial reign of terror. His cheeky smirk after the infamous Multi-21 Seb controversy at Malaysia 2013 was pure Goblin energy. Yes, I ignored team orders. And what are you gonna do about it? Fans booed, rivals sulked, but Vettel didn't care. He was there to win, not make friends, and he wore the villain cape with pride. But like all great villains, Vettel's time at the top came with cracks. His move to Ferrari promised glory, but it quickly turned into a Shakespearean tragedy. Spins at critical moments, questionable strategies, and constant run-ins with the unforgiving. Leclerc highlighted a decline that mirrored the Goblin's fall from grace. One moment he was dominating at Spa, the next he was pirouetting at Monza, leaving fans wondering if he'd been cursed by the racing gods. It wasn't just a fall, it was a crash, literally and figuratively. Even in his Ferrari years, flashes of Vettel's brilliance reminded us why he was once the king of F1. His incredible pole at Canada 2019 and his emotional win at Singapore showed that, like Norman Osborn,
The genius hadn't vanished entirely, it just needed the right moment to resurface. But as with the Goblin, those moments were fleeting, overshadowed by the mounting chaos around him. Vettel's Ferrari tenure wasn't just a story of decline. It was a painful reminder of how even the best can stumble when the odds, and sometimes their own team, are against them. When Vettel eventually left Ferrari, it felt like the final chapter of a once glorious saga. Yet much like the Goblin's rare redemption arcs, his time at Aston Martin hinted at a softer, more reflective side. He traded ruthless ambition for wisdom, becoming a mentor and a voice for sustainability in the sport. The villain had evolved into an elder statesman, still capable of brilliance but more focused on the legacy he would leave behind. Vettel's journey reminds us that even the greatest villains can find redemption, though not without leaving a trail of chaos in their wake.
Fernando Alonso, Ultron, the eternal schemer.
Fernando Alonso is Formula One's Ultron, a relentless schemer who refuses to fade away, always plotting his next move to stay relevant and dominate. Alonso doesn't just survive in F1, he thrives in the chaos he often engineers himself. Like Ultron, who adapts and evolves with every defeat, Alonso has spent 2 decades defying age, rivalries, and even mediocre machinery to remain a force to be reckoned with. Whether he's pulling off dazzling overtakes or orchestrating mind games that leave his rivals reeling, Alonso's cunning is unmatched. Take the infamous Alonso slowing down Hamilton in the pit lane incident. It was pure Ultron energy. Why play fair when you can play smarter? Alonso's career has been peppered with moments of tactical brilliance and controversy, often blurring the line between hero and villain. The 2007 McLaren Spygate scandal. Alonso wasn't just a bystander, he was one of the key players, wielding his influence like a weapon. For Alonso, chaos isn't a problem, it's an opportunity. And he's a master at turning even the most volatile situations to his advantage. What sets Alonso apart, much like Ultron, is his uncanny ability to endure. His longevity in the sport is almost supernatural, racing against drivers who grew up idolizing him and still beating them on occasion. Alonso isn't just a competitor, he's an institution. Whether he's dragging an uncompetitive car to places it has no business being or playing mind games with his rivals in the media, Alonso proves that age is just a number when you're as shrewd as he is. He's the driver who will find a way, no matter how impossible the odds. And like Ultron's insatiable thirst for power, Alonso's hunger for victory is eternal. Retirement. Alonso laughs at the concept, treating it like a pit stop rather than a final chapter. Whether it's IndyCar, endurance racing, or his triumphant return to F1, Alonso's career is a testament to sheer willpower and an unwavering belief in his abilities. Love him or hate him, Alonso's story is one of evolution, resilience, and a touch of villainy. In the world of Formula One, he's proof that a true schemer is never truly out of the game. Nico Rosberg, Mysterio, the villain who got away. Nico Rosberg's 2016 championship was straight out of Mysterio's playbook, a perfectly executed illusion designed to disarm his greatest rival. While others saw Lewis Hamilton as unbeatable, Rosberg spent the entire season meticulously plotting his moves, turning the psychological screws, and quietly dismantling the myth of his invincibility. Like Mysterio, Rosberg didn't rely solely on raw power. He used strategy, guile, and a heavy dose of mental warfare. Every smirk, every calm response in interviews, and every on-track decision was calculated to keep Hamilton guessing, and more importantly, doubting. Rosberg's pièce de resistance wasn't just winning the title, it was the way he left the stage. His sudden retirement after securing the championship was the ultimate mic drop, an exit so perfectly timed that even Mysterio would have applauded. By walking away at his peak,
Rosberg denied Hamilton the chance for revenge and ensured his legacy would remain untarnished by any potential decline. It was the ultimate villain move. Leave them wanting more while savouring the knowledge that he'd outsmarted one of F1's greatest drivers. But let's not forget the level of effort Rosberg poured into that single championship. Like Mysterio orchestrating a multi-layered illusion, Rosberg left nothing to chance. He studied Hamilton's weaknesses, perfected his starts, and even pushed himself to the brink of obsession to maintain his edge. Behind the scenes, Rosberg was a man possessed, channeling every ounce of his energy into pulling off what many thought was impossible. It wasn't just a victory, it was a masterclass in proving that sometimes the villain doesn't need to stick around for the sequel to leave a lasting impact. Even now, Rosberg's legacy continues to spark debates. Could he have done it again? Did he leave because he knew he couldn't? Much like Mysterio's illusions, Rosberg's victory leaves a trail of unanswered questions and lingering doubts. But maybe that's the genius of it. By bowing out at his peak, Rosberg cemented himself as one of the most intriguing figures in F1 history. A villain who got away, leaving the audience to wonder what could have been. Classic Mysterio, classic Nico. Why you need to embrace the villain within. The truth is, Formula One champions don't become legends by playing nice. If you think trophies are handed out for good behaviour or friendly handshakes, you've probably been watching the wrong sport. F1 isn't about making friends. It's about dominating the grid, pushing the limits, and occasionally stepping on a few toes or tyres to get there. Whether it's Verstappen channeling Loki's chaos, Schumacher wielding Thanos-level dominance, or Hamilton playing the perfectionist puppet master like Magneto, the road to greatness is always paved with a bit of villainy. Villains, after all, don't just survive, they thrive. They're not afraid to make enemies, push the boundaries, or say, "Rules? What rules?" Champions don't waste time worrying about whether the crowd is booing or cheering. They only care about standing on the top step of that podium. It's that unapologetic hunger, that refusal to back down, that turns a great driver into a legendary one. And honestly, can you blame them? Formula One isn't a popularity contest. It's a battle of wills, speed, and pure ego. So the next time you're watching an F1 race and thinking, "Wow, that guy's such a baddie," just remember, being the bad guy is a prerequisite for being the best. If they're not stirring up some drama, bending a few rules, or making their rivals cry into their race helmets, are they even trying hard enough? Villains might not be everyone's favourite, but they're the ones we remember. The ones who leave their mark on the sport. And while we're on the subject of leaving a mark, why not embrace your inner F1 villain and leave one here? Hit that like button, subscribe to Formula One Dramas, and join us as we keep dissecting the darker, juicier side of the racing world. After all, even villains need an audience.